The Huawei MediaPad M3 was one of the big highlights of IFA in Berlin. There are not that many 8-inch Android tablets out there with a very high build quality, a very high resolution display, a metal case and good speakers. How good is the M3? That's what we want to find out with this review. Let's begin our review with the design and the build quality, and compared to the last year MediaPad M2 8.0, the build quality has improved a lot. The tablet is made completely out of aluminium and feels very high-end in your hands. Only on the top, on the back, there's a little thing made out of plastic. Behind those are probably the antennas and also the camera, which has a resolution of 8 megapixels. The M3 is not the thinnest with 7.3mm, the Galaxy Tab S2 is a little thinner with 5.6mm, but with Samsung only the bezel is made out of metal, the rest is plastic. The M3 weighs 310 grams and that's pretty good for a tablet of this kind. Above the 8.4-inch display is a front camera with a resolution of 8 megapixels as well. The bezel around the display is completely white, and on the bottom there's a fingerprint reader which functions exactly the same like with the smartphones from Huawei. With the fingerprint reader you can use gestures to emulate the typical Android buttons like back, home and this multitasking button. On the side there's a power button, the volume rocker and a micro SD card slot. With the LTE version the same slot probably holds the SIM card. There's a micro USB port and two speakers that are developed together with Harman Kardon. The IPS display of the MediaPad M3 is 8.4 inches big and has a very high resolution of 256 by 1600. So it has a very high pixel density with 359 ppi, and actually the MediaPad M3 is one of the highest pixel density tablets out there right now, especially compared to the iPad mini and ASUS ZenPad 3 8.0. Those two only have a resolution of 2048 by 1536, so it's a little bit lower. Not only the resolution is very high, but the other qualities of the display are very good as well. It is very bright, colors look very nice and the viewing angles are very good. It's quite a lot of fun to watch movies and TV shows on this tablet, also because it has a 16:10 aspect ratio where there are no big black bars on the top and on the bottom. Most other tablets that we've seen, most high-end ones, are released with the format of 4:3 where those black bars are quite big. So overall the display is very nice compared to the ASUS ZenPad 3 8.0 as well, as you can see here right now. It's a little sad so that we don't get a stylus like with the MediaPad M2 10.0. Inside runs a high silicon Kirin 950 octa-core processor that we've known from the Mate 8 already. 4 of those 8 cores are clocked at 2.3 GHz and the other 2 at 1.8 GHz. That's also 4 GB of memory inside, and the internal storage has a capacity of 32 or 64 GB. In the benchmarks, the MediaPad M3 got a lot better results than other tablets that I tested recently. In Geekbench 4 it got in the single core test around 1750 points and in the multi-core test around 5300 points. On Antutu the M3 gets 39,900 points, so the results are a lot better than of the Samsung Galaxy Tab S2 and even than of the ASUS ZenPad 3 S10. I tried a couple of games on the M3 like Mortal Kombat 5 and Dead Trigger 2, both ran very smoothly and I could really play them very nicely. I also tried Asphalt 8 Airborne and at the beginning I didn't see any problems, maybe because I'm not a gamer, but actually if you look very closely the frame rate seems to drop a bit. I still think that you can play Asphalt 8 Airborne relatively nicely, but compared to the very high-end smartphone the game might not be as smooth. All the other apps I tried ran without any problems. Even the Chrome browser, you can have a lot of tabs open and there are no problems there. On the MediaPad M3 runs Android 6.0 Marshmallow, and on top is the Emotion UI version 4.1, that's the own interface from Huawei. With the Emotion UI the interface is customized quite a lot and you can customize it yourself. You can change the design quite a lot as well. Usually I like normal Android more, but the design is actually quite nice. Huawei built in a couple of features that we don't know from every Android device out there. For example, the multi-window feature with which you can open two apps side by side. You can also filter out blue tones so that you can sleep a little bit better, and with the fingerprint reader you can use gestures to control the tablet a bit. What's quite nice is that with the LTE version of the tablet you can actually make phone calls. There's a phone app. Obviously it would be good to use the headset if you make phone calls. There are quite a lot of apps pre-installed, including those Office apps from Microsoft that are free anyways. I guess those two companies have a little deal there. The apps that do not come from Huawei directly, those you can deinstall pretty easily, but those apps that are pre-installed from Huawei directly are not easy to remove. The battery has a capacity of 5100 mAh, and according to Huawei the battery life should be up to 11 hours. And actually that's kind of the case depending on what you do. In my battery test I got a runtime of 10 hours and 30 minutes. I always do the same battery test. I'm running a 720p video over and over again. The brightness is set to 50%, the audio is deactivated, Wi-Fi is activated, and apps like Facebook or Twitter are not set up yet, but there are a couple of emails coming in over Gmail from time to time. So a battery life of 10.5 hours under these conditions are quite good, but as you can see in the chart here, it's not the tablet with the biggest battery life out there. And obviously the battery life changes depending on what you're doing. If you're playing games, streaming YouTube videos or watching movies with maximum brightness, then obviously the battery life will be a little shorter. The Huawei MediaPad M3 has two speakers that are developed together with Harman Kardon, and actually they are quite nice. Obviously you can't compare to a high-end stereo system, but for a tablet the sound quality is very good. I compared the speakers to the Asus ZenPad 3 8.0 and the Amazon Fire HD8, and compared to those, the speakers of the MediaPad M3 are a lot better, especially the bass sounds a lot nicer and more powerful. They are also loud enough to fill a big room. The Huawei MediaPad M3 is one of the nicest tablets I tested this year. Especially the design and build quality is very high and comparable to an iPad mini. The display has a very high resolution and it's really enjoyable to watch movies or TV shows on it. The performance is pretty good as well, and actually in the benchmarks the MediaPad M3 is better than all tablets that I tested. I think the price with a little over 300 euros, over 300 US dollars for the MediaPad M3 is not bad at all, and I can actually recommend it for that. Obviously there are a lot of 8-inch tablets out there that are a lot cheaper, but then you usually don't get a metal case, a very high resolution display or a good performance. That's my review with the Huawei MediaPad M3. I'm NJ from mynexttablet.com. If you have any questions, please write them in the comments. Thanks for watching.